A lie is not always a means of survival. It is not always a desperate escape from punishment, nor a tool used only in moments of necessity. For some people, lying is a way of life, an instinct so deeply embedded in their nature that truth becomes foreign to them. They lie not because they must, but because they can, because deception grants them power, because bending reality to their will is more gratifying than accepting things as they are. They lie about things that don't matter. They fabricate details about their past, exaggerate their achievements, and create stories where none are needed. They invent experiences that never happened, distort facts that are easily verifiable, and weave unnecessary falsehoods into everyday conversations. It is not the content of the lie that is important to them, it is the act of deception itself, the thrill of seeing whether they can make others believe what is not true. They lie with confidence, as if the truth itself is irrelevant. They do not stumble over their words, they do not hesitate, they do not show the common signs of dishonesty that most people associate with deception. They speak with the same conviction whether they are recounting an actual event or spinning an entirely fictional narrative. This is what makes them dangerous, because their lies do not feel like lies at all. They lie because it grants them control. Truth is stable, predictable, and limiting. It binds a person to reality, forces them to confront the consequences of their actions, and holds them accountable to a fixed set of facts. But a lie is fluid. A lie allows them to shift blame, to manipulate perceptions, to rewrite history in a way that benefits them. A lie gives them the ability to mold the world around them rather than adapt to it. They lie even when the truth would serve them better. Sometimes the truth would be easier, more convenient, even more persuasive, but they choose deception anyway, not because they have to, but because they want to, because honesty is an act of surrender, and they are unwilling to relinquish even the smallest amount of control. Because telling the truth, even when it costs them nothing, feels like an admission of weakness. They lie to test boundaries. They want to see how much they can get away with, how far they can push before someone notices, how deeply they can embed falsehoods before they are challenged. They will lie about something small, something insignificant, just to gauge the reaction. And if no one calls them out, if no one questions their version of reality, they will escalate. The lies will grow bolder, more elaborate, more audacious, because every unchecked falsehood reinforces their sense of invincibility. They lie because it grants them immunity. A well-placed lie can absolve them of guilt, deflect suspicion, and shield them from consequences. They will lie about their mistakes, about their failures, about the harm they have caused, all to escape accountability. And when confronted, they will not confess. They will double down. They will invent new lies to cover the old ones, build layer upon layer of deception until the truth is buried so deeply that even they may begin to believe in their own fabrications. They lie to create chaos. The truth is stable, but lies breed uncertainty. A lie can pit people against each other, plant seeds of doubt, and erode trust in a way that is difficult to repair. They use deception as a weapon, not just to mislead, but to divide, to weaken, to dismantle the very foundation of honesty that relationships and institutions depend on. They thrive in confusion, because when no one knows what is real, they are the only ones who remain in control. They lie to shape perception. They understand that people do not respond to reality, they respond to their interpretation of reality. By controlling the narrative, by crafting stories that suit their interests, they manipulate the way others see them. They portray themselves as victims when they are the aggressors, as heroes when they have done nothing worthy of admiration. They curate their public image with precision, ensuring that their lies are more appealing than the truth could ever be. They lie because they see others as tools, not as equals. To them, honesty is a courtesy, a form of respect, a recognition of another person's right to the truth. But they do not view people that way. They see others as means to an end, as objects to be manipulated, as pawns in a game that they alone are playing. And if deception serves their purpose, if bending the truth makes it easier to extract what they want from others, then they will lie without hesitation, without guilt, without remorse. They lie in ways that are difficult to detect. Some lies are grand and obvious, but the most effective deceptions are subtle, woven so seamlessly into conversation that they do not immediately stand out. They mix truth with falsehood, include just enough reality to make their fabrications believable. They distort details rather than invent entirely new stories, ensuring that their lies feel familiar, comfortable, plausible. And because their deception is so well crafted, many will never realize they have been misled at all. They lie with selective honesty. They will tell the truth just often enough to build credibility, to make it seem as though they are transparent and trustworthy. They will admit to small mistakes to give the illusion of accountability, will volunteer seemingly personal information to create the appearance of openness. But these moments of honesty are calculated. They are strategic. They are designed not to reveal the truth, but to make their larger lies more convincing. They lie with no concern for the consequences. Most people hesitate to lie because they fear the repercussions, the shame of being exposed, the damage to their reputation, the loss of trust. But they do not think this way. If their lies are uncovered, they will not feel guilt. They will not be embarrassed. They will simply pivot, shift the blame, deny, discredit, or fabricate new falsehoods to explain away the old ones. Their only concern is maintaining control, and they will do whatever is necessary to ensure that their version of reality remains intact. They lie because they see truth as a limitation. To them, facts are not fixed, they are obstacles. Truth is something to be shaped, manipulated, reconstructed in whatever way serves their needs. They do not see the world as it is. They see it as something that can be rewritten with the right words, the right deception, the right performance. And because they believe this, because they see truth as malleable rather than absolute, they do not experience the same moral conflict that others do when they choose to lie. They lie because it is who they are. It is not just a habit. It is not just a strategy. It is a fundamental part of their identity. It is how they move through the world, how they navigate relationships, how they assert dominance over those who still cling to honesty. They do not need a reason to lie because for them truth is not a guiding principle. It is merely an inconvenience, a fragile construct that exists only for those too weak to reshape reality to their own advantage. Responsibility is a burden that shapes character. It forces a person to confront the consequences of their actions, to accept their role in the unfolding of events, to acknowledge when they have done wrong. But there are those who reject this burden entirely. They refuse to carry the weight of their choices, refuse to admit fault, refuse to stand accountable for anything that does not serve their interests. They shift blame with effortless precision. If something goes wrong, it is never their fault. If they fail, it is because someone else sabotaged them. If they hurt someone, it is because the other person was too sensitive. They twist the narrative so that they are always the victim, always the one who was wronged, always the one who should be pitied rather than the one who should be held accountable. They rationalize every mistake. They will not apologize, at least not in a way that means anything. If they do acknowledge an error, it will come with an excuse, a justification, a carefully crafted explanation that shifts the blame onto circumstances beyond their control. They will insist that they had to do what they did, that any reasonable person would have acted the same way, that they are simply responding to forces greater than themselves. They manipulate others into carrying their burdens. If responsibility must be assigned, it will not fall on them. They will find someone else to bear it, a friend, a coworker, a partner, a scapegoat who can absorb the fallout of their failures, and they will do it so convincingly that the other person will often accept the blame willingly, believing that they were the problem all along, that they should have done more, that they should have been better. They rewrite history to suit their needs. If their past actions come back to haunt them, they will not reflect, they will not acknowledge, they will not seek to make amends. Instead, they will alter the past itself, reshaping events in a way that absolves them of any wrongdoing. They will deny things that were once undeniable, insist that others are misremembering, claim that their critics are motivated by malice or misunderstanding rather than truth. They are never truly wrong. Even when faced with undeniable proof, even when confronted with irrefutable evidence, they will not admit fault. They will deflect, they will attack, they will accuse others of being unfair, of being out to get them, of twisting the facts. They will make the conversation about something else entirely, dragging in unrelated grievances, shifting the focus away from their actions and onto the supposed flaws of those who dare to hold them accountable. They expect others to clean up their messes. If their actions create chaos, if their irresponsibility leads to disaster, they will not be the ones to fix it. They will step back, remove themselves from the situation, and wait for someone else to step in. And when the dust settles, when others have worked tirelessly to repair the damage they caused, they will take the credit, act as though they were part of the solution all along, as though they had played a crucial role in setting things right. They surround themselves with enablers. People who refuse to take responsibility cannot survive alone. They need others who will protect them, excuse them, shield them from the consequences of their actions. And so they carefully select those who will reinforce their delusions, who will defend them against criticism, who will absorb their blame so they never have to feel its weight. And if someone refuses to play along, refuses to accept the false narrative, refuses to carry their burdens for them, that person will be discarded, attacked, or manipulated into submission. They view accountability as a threat. A demand for responsibility is to them an act of aggression. It is an attack on their carefully constructed reality, a direct challenge to the illusion they have built around themselves. They will react with anger, with defensiveness, with hostility. They will lash out at those who dare to hold them accountable, painting themselves as victims, portraying their critics as cruel and unreasonable, ensuring that the focus shifts away from their actions and onto the supposed unfairness of being called to account. They believe the rules do not apply to them. Responsibility is something for other people, something that lesser individuals must concern themselves with. They see themselves as exempt, as special, as entitled to a level of freedom that others do not have. They expect to be forgiven without asking for forgiveness, to be trusted without earning trust, to be respected without demonstrating integrity. And if anyone dares to suggest otherwise, they will react with indignation, as though it is an insult to even imply that they should be held to the same standards as everyone else. They destroy relationships with their refusal to be accountable. No bond, no friendship, no partnership can survive indefinitely under the weight of one person's irresponsibility. Those around them will grow exhausted, drained from carrying the blame, from fixing the problems, from enduring the endless cycle of excuses and deflections. And when these relationships inevitably collapse, they will not reflect, will not learn, will not change. Instead, they will play the victim, will insist that others abandon them unfairly, will convince themselves that they were wronged rather than confront the reality of their own behavior. They teach others to expect nothing from them. Over time, those who know them best stop expecting apologies, stop anticipating growth, stop believing that responsibility will ever be taken. People learn to work around them, to lower their expectations, to carry burdens that are not theirs, because they know that to expect anything else is to invite disappointment. And in doing so, the irresponsible person is granted exactly what they wanted: freedom from accountability, immunity from blame, a life in which they can act without consequence while others quietly absorb the cost. There are people who do not merely tolerate the pain of others, but take pleasure in it. They are not indifferent, nor are they simply unaware of the harm they cause. Instead, they actively seek it out, relish it, and derive a twisted satisfaction from knowing that someone else is in distress. Their cruelty is not accidental. It is deliberate, purposeful, and deeply ingrained in the way they move through the world. They see suffering as power. To watch someone else in pain is to feel superior, to feel dominant, to feel as though they are in control. If they can make someone flinch, cry, beg, or break down, they feel a rush of satisfaction. It reassures them that they hold the upper hand, that they are the ones inflicting pain rather than the ones enduring it, that they have the ability to shape the emotions of others at will. They are not moved by empathy. Where others might feel discomfort at witnessing suffering, they feel nothing. Or worse, they feel pleasure. They do not see the hurt in someone's eyes and experience a sense of remorse or hesitation. Instead, they see it as a reward, proof that they have succeeded in their intentions. The very emotions that would make most people stop, guilt, compassion, regret, do not exist in them in the same way. They create pain simply to watch it unfold. It is not always about revenge, not always about anger, not always about any specific goal. Sometimes they harm others for no reason at all, other than the enjoyment of watching someone else break. They might spread rumors just to witness the fallout. They might sabotage someone's efforts just to see their frustration. They might undermine, belittle, or torment someone simply to savor the reaction. They disguise cruelty as humor. They will insult, mock, and humiliate others under the guise of just joking. They will make cutting remarks and then laugh, expecting others to play along, to accept the cruelty as lighthearted fun. And if someone protests, if someone expresses hurt, They will turn the blame back on them, calling them too sensitive, too weak, too unwilling to take a joke, shifting the focus away from their own malice and onto the supposed flaws of their victim. They do not need a reason to be cruel. It is not about provocation, not about self-defense, not about any logical justification. Some people cause pain because they believe they have been wronged, but these individuals do it simply because they want to. They do not require an excuse. They do not wait for a conflict to arise. They will create suffering out of nothing, inflict harm without hesitation, initiate cruelty without provocation. They enjoy breaking what others have built. It is not enough for them to witness suffering. They want to be the architects of it. If they see someone happy, they will look for ways to disrupt it. If they see someone succeeding, they will find ways to sabotage it. If they see someone feeling safe, they will introduce fear. They are drawn to destruction, to tearing down what others have worked for, to ruining what others have cherished. They take pleasure in watching others struggle. If someone is drowning in difficulties, they will not offer help. They will not extend a hand, not because they are unaware of the suffering, but because they are enjoying it. They will watch, sometimes silently, sometimes with amusement, as someone else fights against hardship. And if given the opportunity, they may even make things worse, adding to the burden rather than easing it. They feed off of misery. Suffering is not just something they observe, it is something they crave. They will seek it out, surround themselves with negativity, fuel conflict, spread discord, and amplify tension wherever they go. It is not enough for them to watch a single person suffer. They want an environment filled with pain, a world where turmoil and distress dominate, where peace is constantly out of reach. They lack remorse. If confronted, if exposed, if forced to acknowledge the harm they have caused, they will not feel regret. They will not apologize with sincerity. They may feign guilt, may offer a hollow apology if it serves their interests, but deep down they do not care. They do not wake up at night haunted by what they have done. They do not reflect, do not reconsider, do not change. They manipulate others into participating in their cruelty. They do not always act alone. Sometimes they persuade others to join them, to mock, to exclude, to tear down. They create an environment where cruelty is normalized, where those who do not participate are seen as weak, where laughter at someone else's expense is expected. They spread their malice, infecting those around them, turning cruelty into something acceptable, even encouraged. They are drawn to positions where they can exert control over others. Power gives them access to more suffering, to more opportunities to inflict pain. They seek authority, not to lead, not to inspire, but to dominate. They become bosses who belittle employees, teachers who humiliate students, parents who emotionally crush their children, partners who manipulate and torment. Wherever there is power to be held, they will grasp it, not to build, but to destroy. They see kindness as a weakness. If they encounter someone who is compassionate, who is forgiving, who is genuinely good, they do not admire them, they despise them. They see generosity as naivety, gentleness as vulnerability, patience as something to be exploited, and so rather than appreciating goodness, they attack it. They push, they test, they see how much suffering they can extract from those who dare to be decent. They never stop. It is not a phase, it is not something they outgrow. They do not suddenly wake up one day and decide to be different. This need to witness suffering, to create it, to revel in it, it is a part of who they are. They do not tire of it. They do not reach a point where they have had enough. The cycle continues over and over because to them, suffering is not just something that happens to others, it is something they actively pursue. There are those who understand that cruelty alone is too obvious, too jarring, too easy to resist. Instead, they weaponize kindness, using it not as an act of genuine goodwill, but as a tool of control. They do not harm with sharp words or outright aggression. They harm with smiles, with carefully chosen gestures, with favors that come at a cost. Their kindness is never free, never without purpose, never untainted by an underlying motive. They give just enough to create a sense of obligation. When they offer help, it is not out of selflessness, but as a calculated investment. They will go out of their way to do something for you, to make you feel grateful, to put you in a position where you feel as though you owe them. And once that debt is established, they will collect. They will remind you of their kindness when it suits them, will expect compliance in return, will use the weight of their supposed generosity to push you in the direction they desire. They disguise control as concern. They will tell you that they only want what's best for you, that their advice comes from a place of love. that their interference in your life is for your own good, but their concern is not about your well-being. It is about their influence over you. They will undermine your decisions under the guise of offering guidance, will make you question your own instincts, will push you toward choices that benefit them while making it seem as though they are only trying to help. They create an illusion of safety. Their kindness draws people in, makes them feel cared for, makes them feel as though they have found someone who truly understands them. And once that trust is established, once their kindness is wrapped around you like a cocoon, they begin to tighten their grip. They make themselves indispensable, make you believe that without them you would be lost, that you need them far more than they need you. And in doing so, they make it difficult to leave, difficult to push back, difficult to see the strings they have carefully tied around you. They use kindness to mask their true intentions. They will shower you with compliments, with affection, with gestures that appear thoughtful and sincere. They will build you up just enough to keep you close, just enough to make you believe in them. But their kindness is not an end in itself. It is a means to soften you, to make you more receptive to their influence, to make it harder for you to recognize when their actions begin to turn against you. They make you feel guilty for doubting them. If you begin to question their motives, if you start to notice the manipulation beneath the kindness, they will act wounded. They will tell you that they have done nothing but care for you, that they have always been there, that they have given so much and asked for so little in return. They will frame your suspicion as a betrayal, will make you feel as though you are the one in the wrong, as though your doubt is proof of your own ungratefulness rather than their deception. They know exactly when to withdraw kindness and when to offer it. If you step out of line, if you begin to resist their control, they will pull back. The warmth, the affection, the generosity, it will vanish, replaced with coldness, with distance, with subtle punishment. But the moment you fall back in place, the moment you submit, the kindness will return as if nothing ever happened. This cycle teaches you to associate obedience with comfort, to fear the withdrawal of their approval, to stay exactly where they want you. They manipulate with kindness because it is the perfect disguise. People do not expect harm to come from those who seem generous, who seem caring, who seem like they only want to help. It allows them to move unnoticed, to control without resistance, to keep people close without ever revealing their true nature. And by the time their kindness is recognized for what it truly is, the damage has already been done.